I'm here so I won't get fined.
You think you know sports? Well, you don't know. Well, you don't know Jack. The You Don't Know Jack Show starts now.
Hello and welcome to the You Don't Know Jack Show. Today it is just me, Carson, here with you today. And today it is Thursday night football starting out week 10. And we've got a real good one in store for you here tonight. Hey, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? Okay, but seriously, it's the Browns and the Ravens. It could be actually the first Browns win tonight. We'll see about that. Seriously, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Where was I? The Browns could win tonight. You never know. It could happen. It's Thursday night. Teams have been embarrassed on Thursday Night Football before. They've been ill-prepared on this short week. So again, anything can happen. Ravens just got done with a big win over the Steelers in a highly emotional game, as usual, between those two teams. Two teams that always play each other really tough. Kind of the modern-day black and blue division, honestly. Used to be called the NFC North. You could make the case the black and blue division is in the AFC North. So definitely quite an interesting story for tonight's game. We'll see if the Browns can actually do it. I think it'll be a close game. If the Browns win, it'll be a close game. If the Ravens win, I think they'll win by a couple of scores, probably. Should be an interesting game, at least. If you think about it a little bit more, on the outside, it looks pretty dull, as the crowd made you aware of. Yeah. But anyway, should be an interesting game. And again, welcome to the You Don't Know Jack Show. And it is just myself, Carson, here today. And quickly going to look at some NFL stuff, Week 10. First of all, I'm going to start out with my Minnesota Vikings. And that has been the last three games for the Vikings in a nutshell. It has been the toilet flush, the breaking glass, and anything else you can think of. It's been that kind of few weeks, been almost a month, really, for the Vikings ever since the bye week. The bye week started it all, and honestly, that's probably the big reason why the Vikings are not doing so well right now. The bye week really has hurt this team, and Mike Zimmer, at least he took some blame for the loss against the Lions, which he indeed needed to do. And we'll get into that here in just a little bit. The Vikings, my thoughts on the Vikings, my thoughts on the Cowboys beating those Browns that we were just talking about a little bit ago. On last Sunday, they absolutely murdered them. And we'll talk about the Steelers and Cowboys game. That should be an interesting one indeed. One of the more interesting games of the weekend. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. We will right now take a break as we hear from one of our sponsors. We'll be right back to the You Don't Know Jack Show right after this. Do you like shopping on Amazon? Well, now you can do it by helping the show at the same time. Go to the website youdon'tknowjackshow.com and click on any of the Amazon links, and then you can bookmark it. And every time you shop on Amazon, click the bookmark. It's the easiest way to support us without any extra cost to you. Now back to the show. So as you just heard, Amazon, a very important part of this show. It's an extra thing to kind of help us keep this show going, to help pay for this monthly occurrence that we have to pay for every month to keep the show going. We have to pay a monthly fee to SoundCloud, our media hosts. So you can help us out by going to Amazon. You bookmark the Amazon link that's on our website. It will also be in the show notes. And that's the easiest way to help us. So, I mean, all you have to do is go to that marking, or that link, I should say, and click it every time you shop on Amazon, and we get a commission for every purchase you make, and there's no extra cost, no hidden fees for you. If you have Amazon Prime, whatever you have, just all you have to do is click on the link, make sure you're logged in, of course, and whenever you buy something, we get something back. It's very simple to do. Again, you can go to our website, youdon'tknowjackshow.com. The Amazon link is all over the website. If you're wondering if you can support the show in other ways, you can let us know at jack@youdon'tknowjackshow.com, and many other places. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, you can ask us anything you want. Sports questions, we like to answer your sports questions. If you have any questions about your sports team, your favorite sports team, of course, it's got to be football related or basketball related, because we don't get into the other sports. By the way, congratulations to the Chicago Cubs and their real fans. But anyways, if you would be so kind as to shop on Amazon with our link, we would very much appreciate it. Now moving on to my Minnesota Vikings, unfortunately. So, the Vikings really struggling after the bye week, as I mentioned already. 5-3 now overall, and Mike Zimmer finally took some blame for the loss. And I don't have the video up for you here, but he finally took some blame, which is good, because he needs to start taking some blame for this loss. I mean, Norv Turner resigned in the middle of the week before a game, saying the offense was not getting its full potential or whatever. There had to have been something going on with him and Zimmer. Even though they've been lifelong friends or whatever, Zimmer was choking up at the press conference. There had to be somebody saying to Norv, you need to get out. Because you don't just leave a team in the middle of the season like that. If he wanted to retire, he would have done it at the end of the season. So this tells me that his career as a coach in the NFL is not over. As it pertains to the Minnesota Vikings, the Vikings losing to the Detroit Lions in overtime, as we well know, and it was not good. It was not good. It was a lot better than the Bears game and probably better than the Eagles game, but it was not good enough to get the win. And the Vikings, I thought, had to get that win, and now they have to win at least 2 of the next 3 games, I think, if they're going to make the playoffs. If they only win 1 of those next 3 games, I don't think there's any chance the Vikings make the playoffs. And obviously no chance if they don't win any of the next 3 games. They've got to beat the Redskins, and they've got to beat the Lions again on Thanksgiving, and the Cardinals. I think they got to win all 3, but they for sure have to win 2 of those 3, and I think they can do it if they can get back on track. But Mike Zimmer made a huge mistake. He did not let enough time roll off the clock, and there was 27 seconds on that 3rd down play from inside the 5, and Rhett Ellison scored the game-winning touchdown is what they thought, but it wasn't game-winning. It wasn't game-winning. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That 23 seconds were left on the clock, and it wasn't the game winner. Are you kidding me? Pathetic. It's pathetic. Mike Zimmer left way too much time. I don't mind the timeout as itself at all, but the point is you left too much time on the clock before that 3rd down. If you take off only 2 more seconds, that was 2 more seconds they had on that spike of the clock with Matthew Stafford firing over the middle to the 41-yard line for the 58-yard tying field goal by Matt Prater. If you take 2 more seconds off the clock, they don't have that spike. It's over. The completion ends the game, but he called a timeout with 27 seconds left inside the 5-yard line of Detroit, and you have 2 plays. There's no way you're going to take up 27 seconds on 2 plays from the 3-yard line. There's no way. Yeah, it's inexcusable. I don't mind the timeout, like I said, but take more time off the clock. It's not that hard to do. Because you would rather have your team have the opportunity to win or lose the game with your offense on the field, I think, even though the defense is phenomenal. I would rather put my offense on the field with less time than have to trust my defense. And, of course, honestly, I don't really care about the whole, Blair should not have kicked it into the end zone thing. And Mike Zimmer was really upset about that. He said Blair was supposed to pop it up at inside the 5 or 10-yard line and trust the kickoff coverage. Well, you know what? He could have brought it all the way back, and then they could have lost it in the regular time. Of course, I do blame Blair Walsh for missing that extra point off the right upright. That was pathetic, and the Vikings brought in competition over the week to kind of say to him, hey, you better get things right, or you're going to be gone here soon. And I think if he has another bad game or two, he is going to be gone, or he's going to be only used as a kickoff specialist or something. That contract is a little lengthy, so the Vikings may be forced to use him as only a kickoff specialist or something like that. But it is really pathetic. The last 3 games, honestly, I would probably take the loss over Chicago more, even though the effort was entirely better. I thought the energy was better for the Vikings. Even though it wasn't great offensively, the defense played with some great momentum again. Didn't get a touchdown inside the 20-yard line. Chad Greenway had the interception, and they started a drive inside the 20. Didn't get any points. Are you kidding me? You can't do that. And Sam Bradford can't take that sack on that 3rd down that got him out of field goal range. Maybe Blair doesn't make that kick, but that would have been game-changing. That would have been game-changing if he doesn't take that sack. Again, it was just not a good day for the Vikings on Sunday. So now moving over to the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys with the win over the Cleveland Browns, who are playing tonight, as I mentioned. Cowboys still with only 1 loss. I think they're... Let's see. Cowboys are 7-1 now. So the Cowboys are 7-1 going against the Steelers, who are now 4-4. They've lost some four games on the season. That's again why I say the Steelers maybe aren't as great as we thought they were. That defense is still not very good, especially the secondary. Their defensive line is decent, but it's not elite. Our linebackers are decent, but not elite. The offense, I think the offense still is missing one playmaker yet, and that could have been Martavis Bryant if he didn't get suspended, but that was that's how it goes in the NFL. Injuries happen. They do have one of the best offensive lines in football, I would say. Probably for sure top 5, maybe even top 3 up there with Oakland. Of course, Dallas is the number 1. But Steelers and Cowboys should be an interesting game. But the Cowboys just demolishing the Browns. What did you expect? Not more of the same from Dallas. They're 7-1, but I am going to tell you right now, I think the Steelers win this game on Sunday. It's a 3:25 game at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just coming off a loss. They've responded to losses very well for the most part. Against Philadelphia, they lost, and I thought they'd respond with a win, and they did. And I think they're going to respond with a win over Dallas here. And I think it's going to make the NFC East a little more interesting. And but it won't. I still think Dallas wins the division pretty easily. But I think the Cowboys lose this weekend. But they are playing phenomenal football right now. Their defense is playing better. And I'll tell you why their defense is playing so well. It is not because they are a great defense. It is because their offense is so great, and the energy from the offense is making that defense great. That is why the Cowboys defense has played so well. If the Cowboys offense starts to struggle, then the Cowboys are going to start to lose games because that defense is not going to be as good with an offense that is struggling because the defense has been feeding off that energy that the Cowboys have been creating on offense, and if they don't have any energy to feed off of, they're going to start playing bad. That's what I think, and they have some decent players on defense, but nobody that sticks out really. I mean, if you look at that defense, there's no superstars. If you ask just an average NFL fan, somebody that doesn't have as much knowledge, you ask them who does the Cowboys defense have on it, if they're an average NFL fan, not from the NFC East. Let's see. Who's on Dallas's defense? Who's on Dallas's defense? Can't tell you. He can't tell you because they don't have that one star on defense, and that's what they're missing. I think their defense is missing a huge star and some more complementary players, and if their defense can't feed off the offensive energy that Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, who I think is the Rookie of the Year, hands down, running away with it, then they are still not going to be able to win, or then they're not going to be able to win games. But I do think that offense is really good, and I think that defense will be able to feed off the energy, and I think that's why Dallas will win that division. But I do think they'll lose to Pittsburgh on Sunday, and I'm going to say 31-27. That is my score. It'll be a good game, and it'll probably be a shootout because both defenses are not that great. So we're going to take a look at some other games coming up. We'll also take a look at college football. And we will do that after we take another break. And we're going to hear from our friends at CarRental8.com. CarRental8.com, your source for renting a car whenever you go on your next vacation or business trip or just to get away for a weekend. Maybe not a full vacation. Maybe it's just a weekend getaway. You don't want to take your own car? Rent a car from Car Rental 8.
Heading to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Baltimore, New York, London, or anywhere in the world and need a rent-a-car? Well, check out CarRental8.com, where you'll find the same car for less money. CarRental8.com sells all the brands like Dollar, Thrifty, Budget, Avis, Hertz, Alamo, Europcar, and so much more at affordable rates. We'll beat any price by a minimum of 30%. So check us out online at CarRental8.com or call us at 1-813-343-8138. That's 1-813-343-8138.
And don't forget, you can use the promo code JackShow5, and you get 5% off your first car rental from us. That's JackShow5, JackShow5, all capital letters. And you can use our promo code, and we will get some percentage back of whatever you rent. So again, use CarRental8.com. They serve all over the world in almost every country. They are in a lot of countries anyway. And whenever you are going on your next vacation or next business trip, wherever you're heading, be sure to give Car Rental 8 a call or book your next rental online at CarRental8.com and use the promo code JackShow5, JackShow5, all capital letters. And welcome back to the You Don't Know Jack Show today with Carson, and we're going to look at the games here this week in the NFL. And actually, we're going to do that, and then we're going to look at NFL news. So we're going to take a look at NFL week number 10. Believe it or not, it's already here. As I get the games up on thescore.com. You can go to thescore.com, get the app on your phone, and we're going to take a look at thescore.com. I like to look at their website. They are not a sponsor of the show, but I really enjoy looking at them and looking at the wagers or the Vegas lines just to see what it is, and then I can share it with you also. So again, tonight, Cleveland and Baltimore in Baltimore. Baltimore favored by 7.5. And I am going to take Baltimore, even though I'm a little unsure of this game. Like I said earlier, anything can happen. It's the NFL. It's Thursday night. And again, both teams, you never know because of the short week. I think Cleveland has a shot in this game, so I will not be surprised if Cleveland actually gets the win. Now, do I expect it? Absolutely not. I will pick the Ravens, but I will not be shocked or probably not even surprised if Cleveland wins this game. So they are, again, Baltimore favored by 7.5. I will go with that. But again, won't be surprised if Cleveland wins. And now looking at Sunday's games, we'll take a look at the noon or 1 o'clock Eastern games if you're from the East Coast, or 10 o'clock if you're from the West Coast. Or if you're from overseas, then you'll have to find your own time. So Kansas City will be going to Carolina, and Carolina is favored by 3.5, or actually just 3. Again, these Vegas odds from thescore.com. And I am going to take the 3. I'm going to take Carolina. They are 3-5 right now, trying to get themselves back into the playoff hunt, or at least in the division hunt. And I could see it happening. I could still see them winning this division because Atlanta could all of a sudden take a nosedive. And I think Kansas City falls short in this one. It's at Carolina. Kansas City does struggle on the road at times, but yeah, I'll take Carolina. I think Carolina gets the job done. And we'll take a look at Denver and New Orleans. Now, this is an interesting game for multiple reasons. You got one great defense against one terrible defense, at least bottom 5 in the league. And then you've got probably a top 5 offense, at least top 10 offense, I would say, in the league against probably a bottom 10 offense in the league, I would say the Broncos are, especially with C.J. Anderson out. I'm going to take the Broncos, though. I think I'll take the defense, and Saints are favored by 3. I'll take the Broncos by a field goal late by Brandon McManus. Breeze will have time on the clock. He'll throw a late interception, and Broncos get the win. Some other games, the Birds match up in Philadelphia. Falcons and Eagles, and I think the Falcons, well, they're favored by 2 on the road, but I'm going to take the Eagles. The Eagles always seem to play really well at home, and I will take Philadelphia, and I'll probably take them by no more than 10, but no less than 3. They're favored to lose by 2, so I'll say they are going to win at least by 3 and no more than 10. And then we've got Minnesota at Washington. That's the last of the noon games I will talk about. And Washington favored by 2.5. Not by 3, but by 2.5. And I don't really feel comfortable doing this. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. But I'm going to take the Vikings. I'm going to regret this. I'm going to take the Vikings, and I will take the Vikings by 10. They will not win by more than 10, but they will win by at least 7. That is my call. And I think Kirk Cousins will struggle. I think the Vikings get a special teams or defensive touchdown in the game, which will help them propel them to a victory over the Redskins or the Washington professional football team. And that is the noon games. And we'll now take a look at the afternoon games. There's one that sticks out among all others, and that is Dallas at Pittsburgh. And I am going to take Pittsburgh, as I mentioned. They're favored by 2.5, but I am going to take them by more than that. I'm going to take them by 10. And I could see it going, I think they win by at least 10, and it could be 14. I think Pittsburgh gets the win. And it'll be a little bit more convincing than people will think. And then there'll be people starting to doubt Dallas a little bit. They'll be 7-2. But again, I still think Dallas wins the division and goes to the playoffs, of course. So that is what I see shaking out in that game. And then we've got 2 more games left. We've got Seattle at New England. New England favored way too much here, I think. Favored by 7.5 over Seattle. My goodness. That is large. And Seattle is still playing pretty well. Buffalo's not a bad team, and they beat them. But I do think New England wins, and I do think they win close. I don't think they win by more than 7, and I'm going to put the bet on 3 points. I think it'll be a 3-point game. Sunday Night Football will have another great game. A little bit better than last week with the Raiders and Broncos. And I think I'll take the Patriots by 3, at the most 7. And Monday Night Football, Cincinnati at New York Giants. The line is still open on that game. But I'm going to take Cincinnati to win that game by, let's see, it'll be closer than, it'll be probably a pretty good game, actually. I'll take Cincinnati by 7, and I only think that because I think Eli Manning is going to come back to life a little bit in this game, and Dalton throws a couple of touchdowns to A.J. Green, more than likely, and the Bengals win by 7 is my call in that game. And those are the picks for this week. And now we will take a look at some NFL news. And NFL news, as we saw on Monday night, the Bills and the Seahawks, Richard Sherman hit Dan Carpenter, and he went for his legs. Take a look at this article here. And Richard Sherman will be fined, and it does not say how much. But if you're a stranger to the situation, first of all, I posted a Sports Guru video. It's on our Facebook page, where I talked 1 minute about Richard Sherman and Dan Carpenter situation, and talked briefly about his wife Kayla Carpenter's comments. Please look up the tweet and tell me that it wasn't good. Maybe she deleted it by now, so maybe you can't look it up, but it was awful. I think she had a picture of something you used to castrate cows or animals on the farm, and that's where she must have grown up, or she grew up on a farm or something, and that's what she thought Richard Sherman's act was, like an animal, and that he should be treated as such, which is completely out of line. It's pathetic, honestly, that you would think that you should treat any human being like an animal. That's terrible. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And Richard Sherman said that the apology, she did write an apology, I guess. And he said it was BS, and I totally agree with him. He's a very smart individual. He went to Stanford. He was working on his bachelor's degree from Stanford. Obviously, if he got into Stanford, he must know something too, even if he is good at football. A lot of Stanford people are very, very smart. And he didn't really say much backlash other than thank you, have a nice day or something, tweeting a response. And then the response to her apology, he thought it was BS, which, again, I agree with. So that is how that went. After Richard Sherman blocked a kick, and he was offsides by a mile, and he ran right into Dan Carpenter's legs, and he was hurt. He had to come off the field for one play. So the Bills spiked the ball, and then they had the kick, and he missed it. And that was the end of the half. But if you go back and look at that play, you will probably find in your mind that it is probably a dirty hit. But, as I mentioned in the Sports Guru video, it's football, guys. Come on. You're paid millions of dollars ahead of time. You know that there's going to be contact, and you got to be ready for it. If you're a kicker or not, if you're a kicker, if you're a punter, you got to be ready for that contact at any moment. You got to be prepared for it. And I'm not saying Dan Carpenter knew his wife would say that, or he thought that his wife should do it, but it was extremely out of line. Yeah, it was probably dirty a little bit, but again, it's football. You should expect it. The NFL fining him, that's a little bit different story here. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. But kind of an interesting story there. And I guess I would just say to Richard Sherman, you did the right thing, but I wouldn't have necessarily gone and tackled him, because that's basically what it looked like. Tackled him from the legs, and that can hurt, especially when the kicker makes his money from his legs. I mean, that's kind of harsh, but again, it's football, and Dan Carpenter should know that, and his wife should know that. It's not like he went after his head or anything, or anything like that. I mean, yeah, the legs is where he makes his bacon, but I don't know. I just don't mind it as much as people are making it out to be. But again, could he have been a little bit more? I don't know, less. Made it look less more appealing to the eye. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's kind of interesting to think about, I guess. But again, I will say that his wife's comments were completely out of line here. Dallas Cowboys news: Tony Romo is a full participant in practice for the Cowboys. Full participant on, let's see, what day was this? Practice 4 days over the last couple of weeks, and now he is a full participant. And his situation is day-to-day. It looks as if Tony Romo, this was reported yesterday at 11:41 a.m. by Jane Slater at Slater NFL on Twitter. Tony Romo getting reps in behind Mark Sanchez today. Passes looked good. And so he's starting to get some reps going here. Dak Prescott's still going to get the first-team reps. And he's probably going to start Sunday. And he's probably going to start at least for a few more weeks until Romo is completely healthy. I think they rushed him back too soon last year. And I think now that they are 7-1 and Dak's looking good, it gives them plenty of time. Gives them plenty of time to let things play out. I mean, they're basically guaranteed a playoff spot right now. They're almost guaranteed the division. But, again, you never know. But still, you got time this time. Last year they didn't. They were running out of time, so they rushed him back, which last year I thought the season was over and they should have just as well have gone with the backup no matter who it was. But, again, I'm not the owner. I'm not the coach. I'm not any of that. So yeah, it's encouraging to see. But, again, honestly, I would still start Dak. I mean, Tony Romo, he could come in one play and be done for his entire career. I mean, I'd rather have him as a backup in case Dak gets hurt. Because if Tony gets hurt again, and then all of a sudden you have Dak come in and he gets hurt, then what are you going to do? I mean, Mark Sanchez is not going to lead you to a Super Bowl. He's not going to lead you to an NFC Championship game. I don't think, honestly, I don't see the Cowboys winning a playoff game with Mark Sanchez because their defense isn't good enough. Mark Sanchez went to 2 AFC Championship games with great defense, and that is not the case. Cowboys do not have a great defense. As I said earlier, Their defense feeds off the momentum from the offense, and that is why they have played well. That is the only reason. And this is good for the Cowboys. If they can get him back, he will be a good backup, but I think that's all he should be. Now, Jerry Jones may say something different, so we'll find out about that. Also, wide receiver Steve Smith, senior for the Ravens, calling the Browns matchup not a trap game. So kind of interesting there. Doesn't think tonight's a trap game, but I actually do, as I mentioned. Would not be surprised if the Browns won. Again, I'm picking the Ravens, but I will not be surprised one bit if the Browns win tonight. Again, Thursday Night Football, you never know what happens. The Packers are losing more games recently. As we mentioned, they are trending downward. Their offense did not look good against a poor defense in Indianapolis at home. The Packers have lost a lot of games at home over the last year. They lost all 3 division games at home last year, and they lost, they lost to the Cowboys at home. They lost to the Colts at home. And there's another team I think they lost to at home this year. So they are not playing very well right now. Honestly, that's why I think the Vikings still have a very good chance to win this division. When I said the Vikings season is over, I said that on Facebook after the game. I said that probably a lot out of emotion, but honestly, when I meant when the season is over, it just means I don't think this team's going to the NFC Championship game, and it's for sure not going to the Super Bowl. NFC Championship game might be a slight possibility, but Super Bowl definitely not. With that terrible offensive line and inconsistent defense at times, and partly to do with the offensive inconsistency. But, it kind of got off track there. But, anyways, that's kind of how the Packers in the NFC North are tailing out. Honestly, the Lions still have a chance. But, again, if you read my article on the Tale of Two Pretenders on our website, youdon'tknow.jackshow.com, first of all, go check that out. The Lions were one of those pretenders. And you can read all the reasons why I think they are pretenders. So go check that out. And that's basically it, I think, right now here for NFL news. That's really the only thing. We're not going to get into election stuff. We're not going to do that. We're a sports show. We're not going to be going into that election stuff. So that is it for NFL news. We will take another break and come back, and we'll talk college football right after this.
Hey listeners, don't forget to find You Don't Know Jack Show on Facebook at facebook.com/You Don't Know Jack Show, Twitter at twitter.com/Don't Know Jack Show, and Instagram at instagram.com/You Don't Know Jack Show. You can also follow Carson on Twitter at Radio Ruben. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the You Don't Know Jack Show with Carson here today. Now we'll take a look and dive into some college football, and we'll quickly start off the show by talking college football rankings and the top 4 teams in the college football playoff revealed by ESPN on ESPN.com earlier this week. And it is number 1, Alabama, number 2, Clemson, number 3, Michigan, number 4, Washington. So as it stands right now, Washington would play Alabama since they're the 4 seed, Alabama the number 1 seed, and Clemson would play Michigan. Do I think the poll is correct? I would say yes, because I think if you're undefeated until you are defeated, I believe you should be the top team, unless, of course, you have no competition, which Washington has played some pretty decent competition. So until they lose, which they could very well do this weekend, they're playing USC, I think they should be left out. Ohio State, Louisville have really good statements that they can make. Other than for Louisville, they really played Clemson really, really tough in one of the best games in college football this season, and maybe one of the best college football games in a long time. But that is a loss. It still is a loss. They've been killing everybody else, but they did lose to Clemson, and Clemson's still undefeated. but a loss is a loss. Ohio State, for instance, they're 8-1. They lost also to Penn State. I think they don't deserve at all to be number 4, even if Penn State is number 10. Penn State is not as great as people think, I don't think. They did beat Iowa, but Iowa's been terrible this year. Iowa does play Michigan, so they could either get killed. This is my prediction. Iowa gets killed, or they win a close game. That is my prediction. Oh, drop the mic. Boom. Drop it. Drop it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. But that is my call. That is my call. That's the alarm for Carson's prediction of the week. Iowa beats Michigan. And Michigan goes out of the college football playoff. No, just kidding. They'll probably still be in. No, I don't know. Ohio State might do it, but no. No, I'm taking Iowa. I am taking the Hawkeyes to beat Michigan. And Iowa still won't be in the top 25, even if they do beat Michigan. They'll have to win out. And Iowa will not win another game after they beat Michigan, by the way. So they'll play in the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl, and it'll be good. And they'll probably lose to somebody like Tennessee or somebody like that. Tennessee probably will have a better bowl game than that. But you get my point. Iowa, not good this year, but they're going to beat Michigan and then not win another game. That would be such an Iowa thing to do. If you're an Iowa fan listening to this, you would probably agree with me that would be such an Iowa thing to do. So, Texas A&M in the top 10, they're number 8. Ohio State's 5, Louisville's 6. I disagree with that ranking. Louisville should be ahead of Ohio State. And Auburn is 9th, and Penn State is 10th. Oklahoma is 11th. They're back. They're getting back up there. So that is the only upset I think I have this weekend. Other tough games this week. Arkansas against LSU. That should be an interesting game. Both teams in the bottom half of the top 25 of the college football ranking. LSU's 24th and Arkansas is 25, and this is the college football playoff ranking. Let's see. Again, Washington plays USC. That could be interesting. I think Washington wins. And I think that's about it. That's really all I've got for college football. So that's my opinion on the college football playoff released by ESPN earlier this week. And that is basically it for the show today. So, with that being said, you'll probably be able to hear at least me next week. Maybe the boys will join me again. We'll see. But that has been the You Don't Know Jack Show. NBA getting off to a fast start. The Cavs are doing well. They're looking like the only team that is almost unbeatable right now. We'll see if that continues. But other than that, there's not much to talk about in the NBA. Lakers are playing pretty well, but around 500. So we'll see how that goes. Timberwolves are terrible right now. And that's all I've got on the NBA right now. So with that being said, this is Carson Schubert for the You Don't Know Jack Show. We will see you next week. Don't forget to come back and listen to episode number 14 next week.
Thanks for listening to the You Don't Know Jack Show with Jonah, Aaron, and Carson. If you want to read articles, get more information, or have questions about the show, go to our website, youdon'tknowjackshow.com. You can subscribe and listen to the show on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio.
I'm here so I won't get fined.